Hey guys, this is Gabriel Lorenzi, creator of the blog Grupo Dicas, one of the biggest travel blogs in the world, and today we are going to talk about what to do in Washington DC, what are the must-see sites, the main tours, what is free, what you have to pay, how to make your itinerary to stay, and all the cool tips, and even shopping, where to shop, there are outlets, shopping malls, supermarkets, all the tips for you to plan your trip to Washington the best way possible. So don't forget guys to enjoy the video, to give us that like, subscribe to the channel because that really helps us a lot, and buckle up. Well, Washington DC is one of the most popular places for tourists in the United States, and for many Americans who want to know more about the history of the country. It's the capital of the United States, it's where all the presidential history of the country, of the government is. It has a lot of symbolic historical things, so it's a place full of history and culture that you have to do a little research beforehand to get acquainted with the places. And besides the history, it is a beautiful place. It's planned, the lawns, the monuments, the streets, the stores. It's a very nice city to know, and of course totally worth the visit there guys, believe me. So, starting our list, the main region where you will stay most of the time, it is the National Mall region. This region, if you look at the map, it's more or less this green region that you see. It's a giant green carpet that's very horizontal, and it has a vertical green arm there, and on the tip of it, it's the White House. There in the corner, you will see that there is Lincoln's Memorial, and to the right, there is the Capitol, and there is also the Mirrored Lake, which is beautiful. The main and most important sites and attractions in Washington are centralized there, so this region you have to study a lot. It's well organized, it's very easy. A tip, it seems that everything is close when you look at the map, but when you get there, the dimension is very big, so it's tiring, it's quite extensive to do things on foot, so you have to walk, be prepared. But this is just to give you a hint, because sometimes you look on the map and it seems very close. The reality is a little bit different, but it's a very beautiful region, so you get your camera ready, take pictures, because everywhere you look there will be a beautiful landscape for you to see. And guys, this region is very important to be located near there. I just made a video about where to stay in Washington, watch it later, but there is the best region of all, which even this region, the surroundings of this region, which is the center of Washington DC, so try to stay there because it's very easy. You can do everything on foot. To make it easier for you, in the description of the video and in the first comment, I'll leave a little custom map that we created in a website that's the largest hotel search engine in the world. I'm sure you know it. It's the one we use. We manage it to set up a map there with the best region to only show good and well-reviewed hotels, and cheap ones too. They are not expensive hotels, they are hotels that are well evaluated by the guests, so you won't have any trouble. So click on the link, open the map, close the map again, put the date of your search in the column and click on the search. Did you search and did the hotel show up? You click on show map, it will open the same map again, but with the prices already in the date of your trip, and then you can choose, take a look. Any hotel within this area that we created is a spectacular location. You can do everything on foot or by subway if you need to. There are several stations nearby, but it's an excellent location. There is also the hotel that we stayed at, which I'll leave the link here below. A sensational hotel, which was very cheap, a very good cost, one of the cheapest there. It's very good and well located. So starting with the first point there, I think it's nice to talk about the White House, which is what everybody wants to see when they go to Washington. It's difficult to get in. There is the internal guided tour, there is, but it's super bureaucratic. There are several requirements. It's very difficult, so 99% of the tourists end up visiting only the external part. There's a huge security fence around the house, but you can go in front of it, take a lot of pictures. It's very nice to feel this White House thing. For those who don't know, the White House was built by George Washington in 1791, and it has gone through several renovations to make it more modern and stronger for any unforeseen event. And it's cool that it has more than 130 rooms and 35 bathrooms, if I'm not mistaken. It's gigantic. It has the East Wing, West Wing, so you can get an overview from the outside, and the area where it is beautiful. beautiful. So you go through there, you get to know it, and then you go down the carpet underneath this area there on the National Mall. Then coming down from the White House, the grass is beautiful, you can enjoy it, take pictures. You will arrive at the obelisk, which is the famous Washington Monument. It's one of the biggest obelisks in the world, if I'm not wrong. It's the biggest in the United States. It's super symbolic. I think it's the first building you will see because it's really big. It's 169 meters high, and it was built in honor of George Washington as well. It went through several renovations. It's 169 meters high. Everything is made with stones. It's several homage to the history of the United States. Later, you can take a look at its history, which is very cool. You can go up there, but it was temporarily closed because of COVID. So when you travel, do some research, check their website, see if it's possible or not. They say the view is amazing, that's worth it, but we ended up not visiting it. So take a look because it's a beautiful place to visit and take a lot of pictures, of course. A tip for the obelisk: don't try to take pictures down there because it's very hard to catch everything and it doesn't look so cool. The tip is try to take it from the top of the White House facing it. It's a nice picture because it's there in the background, so the scenario and the landscape is nice. Or now the next point that we're going to talk about, which is at Lincoln's Memorial. You can take it from there, taking the whole mirrored lake and him in the background. I think it's the most beautiful picture of the whole trip. And guys, any questions you may have, send us and we'll try to help you if you can. It's even easier, send it to us on Instagram at PaiLorenzi. Send a direct message with your question. That sometimes I take a few days because of the number of messages that are piling up, but I'll answer. And take the time to follow us there because we are always showing these travel tips in a very cool way and the routine with our little ones, which are a blast. And also subscribe to our new channel, Familia Lorenzi. It's a channel we created to show our life here in Orlando. We have been living in the United States for almost 2 years now, showing the Disney parks that are right next door, the girls' school, adaptation, food, or life here. It's very cool. Who can subscribe here, and it's gonna help us a lot. So, leaving the obelisk, you want to take the left of the map and you end up passing the famous Washington Mirror of Water. It's called the reflecting pool, reflecting... I think I don't know what's the exact translation, but we call it the water mirror. It's a beautiful place. It's very emblematic. During the day, the sun makes the water go changing colors. It gets several shades of different colors, so it's nice to take a picture in the morning, take a picture in the afternoon, compare a lot, and you will see that it changes a lot. The mirror of water is very extensive. There isn't much shade, so be prepared because you're going to walk a lot, and then you walk to the end, you will get to a beautiful place, which is the Lincoln Memorial. The Lincoln Memorial, the memorial to Abraham Lincoln, who was also a very important former president of the United States. The architecture of the building is very beautiful. It was inspired by Greek buildings, so it looks like those Greek temples. It's a spectacular deal. And there is the sculpture of Lincoln, which is huge. It's even strange to look at it because people are very small next to it. In the statue, he's looking at the horizon. He's surrounded by 36 columns that are also part of the history. Look it up. Washington has a lot of things, a lot of history, so do your research. On the left side of the statue, there is one of his most famous speeches. It's engraved there, and it's very nice to see it on the wall. And the memorial, it's open 24 hours, so you don't need to pay anything to visit. You don't need to schedule anything. You just go there and pass by, and that's it. And in front of the Lincoln Memorial is the Vietnam War Memorial, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, and the Korean War Memorial. You will see that along this huge place you will have several memorials dedicated to history, to the war, to the people who fought, to the presidents, to everybody. So keep walking, keep your cell phone in your hands, keep searching, and you will see that there is a lot of information for you to see there. Guys, here in the description of the video, I'll leave the link to all the websites of services that we use to make our trips, which have the best prices. They are reliable places, so take a look, and there you will have your cell phone chip. Don't travel without your cell phone chip so that you can use the internet at will there to research, because there are many things that you will need to research. You will not take your cell phone out of your hand. You will always be researching, posting, taking pictures, doing everything. So use the cell phone internet there, which is important. You need the chip to be able to use the internet. So take a look here. It's very good. They deliver by email. The newer cell phones accept a digital chip, which is the eSIM. It's a very good company that we have been using for years. So everything's down below. And the form of this National Mall is kind of complicated because you have to go to one corner and then you have to go back to the other corner. Then you go to the other end where the Capitol is. But on the way, you will have several museums. There is the African Museum, which is very cool. If you have time to visit it, it's worthwhile. There is also the National Art Gallery, which is very nice. People there are a lot of museums. The city is absurdly crowded with museums. There is the Children's Museum nearby. A little bit further, 2 more blocks from there, which is very nice. And one cool thing, all the museums, almost 90% of the museums in Washington are free. So take the opportunity to visit them. You won't spend anything and it will make your trip a little bit cheaper, guys. So take a look, you have some free options. And to close this giant part of the National Mall, there is the Capitol. The Capitol is very famous. It's an icon here in the United States. It's where the House of Representatives is. It's where you have the votes. It's a very important place. Talking about politics, about the political world. So it's nice because you can see its central dome from far away. The architecture of the place is very beautiful. It's a very imposing place and it's open to the public from Monday to Saturday. You can look it up, but if I'm not mistaken, it's open to the public from Monday to Saturday. You can visit, you can walk around inside. There's a guided tour which is free, but you have to book it through the website. But it's really cool. They explain and show you everything. But as generally the time is limited and there are a lot of things there, I think it's not worth spending so much time inside. You get to know it, go inside, it's cool, everything, but I think it's worth it not to stay that long. There are people who sometimes want to, who like to, who sometimes work with these things. You can watch a voting session inside, several things, but in my opinion, for basic tourists who are going there for the first time, I think it's worth it focusing on other sites because you have a lot of things to do, and if you spend a lot of time there, you will have less time for the rest. Another place worth visiting is the Library of Congress. It's nothing more, nothing less than the biggest library in the world. It's a giant library with more than 164 million books. People, it's something very different. The size is absurd. We were a little intimidated, even a little lost, but it's very cool. There's a reading room that's surrounded by glass to protect it, but you can see everything. You can walk around. There are sculptures, paintings on the walls. It's a very cool place. Of course, you have to have common sense. You have to be quiet there, respect people, but it's a very nice place to visit. And people, before going shopping, let's talk about the last 2 museums. I'm going to mention them briefly, but they are very worth visiting, especially if you are with children. Even if you don't have a child, it's worth it. It's very cool. But for those who are with children, it's what makes the visit to Washington a little bit more fun. It's a very cool museum. It's the Air and Space Museum, one of the largest and most important in the world. It has everything from airplanes, satellites, rockets, aircraft. It has everything you can imagine. It's cool that the first airplane was built there, which was in 1903. It's preserved there to this day. It's free. It's another one of the free museums in Washington, and it's open pretty much every day of the year. So it's worth putting there, especially for kids who like airplanes, aircraft, rockets. It's very cool for kids who like this kind of stuff. And there is also the Natural History Museum. It's the same as the one in New York. Similar, not the same, but it has the same style. It has several sessions, the whole history of animal life, human life, nature. It's very cool. It's more interactive. It has statues, sculptures, projections. There are more than 125 million items, if I'm not mistaken. So it's very big. You have to plan well, get to know it quickly because it's a giant place. It's also free and it's worth the visit, especially for those who are with kids. You've seen that it's a lot. Washington has a lot of things to do, and I'm going to get into the shopping tip now. Where to shop in Washington? There is a Walmart in downtown Washington, which is the region with the most tourist attractions. A Walmart that's very nice. It has a lot of things. There are some separate stores like H&M, which I like a lot. They have very cheap clothes and accessories. You can find a lot of these street stores in this region, but for those who really want to shop, outlet stores, shopping malls, there are some options. I think that for those who want to shop, it's worth it. So let's start with the outlets. There are two outlets that I think are worth mentioning here. The Tanger's outlet, which has 85 stores. It's a little bit smaller than the other, but even so, it's very nice. It has many stores. The main ones we look for: Nike, Tommy, Adidas, Forever 21. All these nice stores are there, and it's closer. It's about 30 minutes, 35 minutes from downtown by taking an Uber or by car or by subway. You can go there too. You can get there very quickly. It's very easy. And the other one is the biggest, which I think it's worth it. It's Potomac Mills. It's a gigantic outlet that has more than 200 stores. It's a little bit far away. It takes about 45 minutes by car, but it's very big. If you want to do some shopping, a lot of shopping, it's worth scheduling a whole day to go there because there are a lot of stores. You will not be able to visit everything in one day. It belongs to the same outlet chain as Sawgrass Mills, which is close here in Miami, which is the biggest outlet in Florida and in the United States. But this one in Washington is also quite big. It's not the size of the Miami one, but it's gigantic and it's a very nice one to visit. And there are the malls. There's a mall that's much closer. It takes about 20 minutes, sometimes even 15 minutes, depending on where you're located. It's very beautiful, and I think it's worth visiting. It's not only for shopping. It has more than 300 stores. It has a lot of nice things, and it has very good restaurants. So go one day to have dinner, take a walk. It's the Tyson's Corner Center. It's very nice, worth a visit, and it's closer than the outlets in downtown Washington, so it's much easier to get around. By subway, we can get there easily. By Uber, you can get there quickly, so it's a great option. Another mall that's a little bit further away is the Fashion Center, and in Pentagon City, it's a little bit further away, but it also has about 170 stores. It's smaller than Tyson's, but it's also a very good mall. Check the map, sometimes you are close to it, but usually Tyson's is closer. And there is also Westfield, which is in Maryland, close by, and it has 200 stores, but it's not that close. I think that out of these three, if I were to give preference, I would go to Tyson's because it's the nicest, the biggest, and the closest one. And here below, along with the links to the map and to the hotel, I'll also leave the link to the chip we use to use the internet in the United States, which is very good. You receive it at home. It's a digital chip that you receive by email. You install it in your cell phone very quickly, and it's very good. It works very well in the entire United States. Travel insurance is very important to take. It's a comparator that compares and finds the cheapest price in all insurance companies. I'll also leave the website where we buy the tours. There are some very nice tours in Washington, and the transfer from the airport to the hotel and from the hotel to the airport. It's cheaper than Uber and cab, and it's safer because it takes you straight to the hotel. There's a person there waiting for you with your name, helping with your bags, and a very nice service. And there's the car rental for those who want to rent a car. It's also a comparator that helps save a lot. It's much safer. And also the website to change your dollars and everything you need to organize your trip. Take a look below because everything is organized very well for you to organize your trip as cheaply as possible and in places that we have known for a while and have a certain trust in. That's amazing. And that's it, guys. If you liked the video, don't forget to give us that like if you like it, and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us a lot. And don't forget to watch the other videos from Washington that are very good. I'll leave them here in the playlist for you to watch when you can. So thanks a lot and have nice trips.